Hi, today I want to spend some time with you and explain to you a little bit more about Emperor's Chi, one of the cutting-edge leading products in the herbal industry. It's such a unique product that most people, particularly in this country, have not even a connotation of what the product stands for, what it can do. Years ago, as many of you know, I was taken ill. And at first I wound up in a hospital and I wanted to operate and remove my gallbladder. My liver was swollen, and I just never understood that removing body parts was a way to health. If that was the case, I think we would have got some spares. But in the hospital, when I inquired as to why we had to take my gallbladder out, he said it was inflamed and swollen. And I inquired how long it would take to get the operation. He said we have to wait 30 days for the swelling to go down. It didn't make any sense to me how I had to have it removed because it was inflamed and swollen, but within a month it wouldn't be inflamed and swollen anymore. And I questioned that. I also asked him, what should I be eating? Should I be eating particular foods because my body's not operating correctly? And he said, it doesn't matter what you eat. It has no effect on it. And I went home kind of feeling almost desperate that I had to have an operation, yet there was no other alternative besides synthetic drugs and operations and removing knives and cuts and things like that nature. I ironically that day got a phone call from a gentleman named Bob I hadn't talked to in a year or two. And he said, how's things going, Bill? I said, not good. I have to have an operation and things aren't really going well. He said, before you do anything, I know a healer. You have to meet my healer. And he came over and picked me up. And I went to see this man, and I had acupuncture therapy, I had massage therapy, and what they found, and it's different than medicine today, I want to spend a little bit of time doing it, they have a different way of looking at it. In our country particularly, most people, when they get sick, they go to a doctor to get a cure. And the way healers look at it is if your body is in a great state of health, you will not get sick in the first place. So there's different philosophies. I went through some of the therapies. I went through a detox program, and what they told me that I had too many environmental toxins, too many foods with additives and preservatives, and too much polluted air and too much polluted water, and it had been collecting over the years into my body, and my body just reached a point of collapse. And they made what's called elixirs for me, and they would take things and herbs and mix them together and give me drinks, and I would drink them, and within a matter of hours, I noticed a tremendous change in my body. Within a matter of days, I was back to normal. And I never did have the operation, never needed it. And since then, I've spent a lot of time delving into the power of herbs, which are globally known in many countries as just gifts from God. Yet, in this country, they're very, very strange. Now, Wayne Garland, who works with us, who's developed phenomenal nutritional products, kept telling me about a man by the name of Ron Teagarden, who was one of the leading herbologists in the world, and had developed some of the finest products. And he said, whatever you want, Ron can make it. And I said, I want the greatest herbal elixir that the world's ever seen. And so today, to expand upon Emperor's Chi and what is in Emperor's Chi and how it can have an impact on your health, is joining me today is Mr. Ron Teagarden. Ron, the genius who made the elixir for all. Ron, I want to delve. I just told my background about how I got ill and things like that, and we were just speaking yesterday about the fact we both studied biology in college. Right. You got out, you got sick.
Right, almost the same story as yours, at least in a direct parallel. I went through college, and I was a lettering athlete at the University of Michigan, and basically just burnt the candle at every end you possibly could. And by the time I finished school, I was just burnt out, and virtually for about a year, I just collapsed in terms of energy. I didn't feel like doing anything. I lost all my weight. I had no energy. I couldn't walk up a hill. I couldn't keep a job. It was I was very depressed, and I was looking everywhere. And I went to every doctor in Michigan, and finally the medical doctors. And finally, a friend brought me an herbal tonic from China. This is and literally, very much like what happened to you, within a week, my life just turned around, and it was the turning point in my life. There's a saying in Japan, they say that for a person to become great, you have to suffer one great disease. And at that point, I was, in hindsight, lucky enough to have been knocked down to this really bottom level of complete depression and fatigue. And I spent the rest of my life from that point on just absolutely in total appreciation of how it was turned around by the fact that I started taking these tonic herbs.
Do you think, in this country now, coffee is the #1 beverage, a caffeine shot. We drink soft drinks with caffeine, sugar. It seems to me like probably the majority of people are on burnout, but we're taking so many stimulants all the time that they're not realizing how maybe ill they are already.
Well, people are under enormous stress in our society. There's no question, and people are overworking. We're not getting good nutrition in this country, in spite of what people think. Basically, our diet is very limited. It doesn't take the side products, the little natural things that people evolved on as human beings.
We talked about in America there's 4 food groups, and in the Orient there's 5 food groups.
That's right, and the 5th food group are the wild things that grow in nature that human beings evolved on, but that maybe don't grow so easily and aren't eaten as easily at the table, so they're cooked into soups generally, and these actually are called the superior herbs. And they're not herbs that you sprinkle on the plate.
Say herbs, people think parsley.
That's right, and parsley certainly is a nice thing, but herbs in this case are the extra nutritional elements that are out in nature that are brought into the diet to supplement the basic foods, and therefore give us those sometimes small amounts of a little thing make an enormous difference in how our body works, our immune system, our brain, our everything can function.
Well, now in our culture, herbs are used for seasonings, is what people would parallel it to. Right. But in fact, in other cultures, herbs are actually a staple food that has a major effect on the body.
Absolutely, they're a staple food in every society, but the herbal realm in the Orient includes virtually anything. It can be minerals, it includes anything that comes from nature that over thousands of years has been found to benefit our health in some way. And in China, there is a certain category of herbs, they're not the medicinal substances, and they're not even the preventive substances. These are health-promoting roots and barks and other substances that have been found to help a person to function optimally, so that we really live life to its fullest, so we can go out and really do everything we want and not suffer the consequences of burnout.
Now, when I became ill, I was lucky because I'd been building a sales force, and I had a lot of representatives out working for me, so I had an income coming in, which is what a lot of people also understand. With the Equinox opportunity, you're able to build an income that's passive. Once you get it developed and built, it brings income to you whether you work anymore or not, and you've seen that. But what happened to me, I took 3 months off of work, which most people can't afford to do. I went to a cancer clinic in Mexico that does what's called rejuvenation therapy. I went to a complete detox program, got all the chemicals and preservatives out from my system. And when I came back, even driving in traffic with the exhaust fumes that I'd been in for years and years, I never noticed it. But since my body was so clean, all these offensive things became tremendously offensive to me. Yet for years, and the people watching this, they don't even notice it. And I know when you got cleaned out, you noticed it again.
Sure, you really smell and taste everything. However, the reality is we're exposed to these things. Right. And no matter what we do these days, we're bombarded at every moment by ultraviolet light.
It becomes anything. Unconscious, but it's there so often. Right. It's kind of like, I guess, someone, when you first smoke a cigarette, you cough and cough, but then you keep smoking it, your body says, okay, I must get used to doing this.
That's right. But what we have to do now is clean up our environment, and that's our personal environment, to the maximum of what we can, including having a great diet of organic food if possible, or at least as much as we can. Obviously, pure water, pure air in the room, all these things as much as we can. But the real reality at this time is we are being exposed to dangerous substances
for the first time in the history of mankind also.
Constantly. And we need extra elements in our body that have been shown through centuries and also in modern studies that help the body to get rid of these poisons immediately. Yeah. Almost like we are a filter also, much like the water filter, but we're the greatest filter.
You either buy a filter or you be a filter. There's no two ways about it. You are a filter.
That's right. And if the poison doesn't come in the water and the air, though, we still go out to dinner, or we still
fast food, slow food.
You cross the street and a bus will invariably smoke you. It's the rules of life in a civilized society, and we have to be able to eliminate this stuff. And frankly, as we get weaker or if we're under more stress, our bodies are less capable of eliminating these poisons. Then it builds up, and certainly that's going to damage the body and poison it, and we're going to develop cancer.
But it's kind of like a slow compilation to where it's such a mild dose on a constant basis that you become unaware of it. Now, one thing that we did want to talk about was the difference in philosophies of our cultures. In America, the belief is that, and a lot of people believe, obviously there's exceptions to every rule, but a lot of people believe that no matter what you eat has no effect on your health. Even some people in the medical community I've spoken to personally do not correlate what goes in your mouth to your health of your body, which to me is ridiculous. If you put water in a gas tank of a car, it's not going to run. If you put stuff in here that doesn't run. But what happens in America, the belief is you live your life and then all of a sudden, oh my God, you have cancer. And the one thing they keep asking is, do you have any kind of diseases that are hereditary? And people go, well, yeah, my parents died of cancer, their parents died of cancer. Did anybody ever stop and think that you were raised in a family that ate the same foods and had the same habits as your parents, and perhaps it isn't as genetic as you think? That perhaps these parents ate a lot of this kind of food, which wasn't healthy to eat, and then the grandparents taught the parents how to eat it, and then you were raised on it, so now you're eating it, and perhaps it is that kind of a blind thing that you accept this as typical, and then, oh my God, we have the disease because grandpa had it and mom had it. It has nothing to do with it.
Right. I think that genetics is just it means that you have a tendency in that direction in general. It doesn't mean something has to manifest. And to some degree, even by recognizing, know thyself, recognize what your history is, you can definitely change those patterns. That's one of the roles we have to work on as a human being now in a more enlightened age, is that we don't have to live the same way that our parents did. If we see a more enlightened way, we can move forward and actually change our bad habits and make them healthy.
Well, let's cover the philosophies in the different cultures.
Okay.
In America, you're going through life and everything's fine. All of a sudden, oh my God, I am sick. And they either radiate it, cut it out of you, or give you synthetic drugs to alter the side effects of it. And in the Orient, you have a philosophy that says if we keep the body healthy, we will not suffer from disease, which is what disease is. It's disease, uneasy position for the body. It seems like in America, we wait until it reaches a chronic or acute position, and then we go and want a miracle instant cure. Whereas in these other cultures, they believe that if you continue to give the body what it needs to strengthen itself, and like I said, if I cut myself, a doctor can't heal the cut. My body can heal the cut. And I've got to give my body what it needs to heal it. And so is it that if we give our body, and I learned this through the elixirs I took. I mean, I saw dramatic daily changes in my body by taking in this incredible nutrition, herbs, energies, whatever you want to call them. And you find that philosophy in the Orient is totally different than it is in the U.S.?
It's exactly the opposite from here. It's founded on the idea that if we nurture our life so that we're healthy, then you're right, then we won't become ill. It's like keeping your car tuned and clean and put the best gas in it. Then of course it's going to run for hundreds of thousands of miles if you take that kind of care of it. If you run it into the ground, it will be destroyed. Really, that is the foundation of the Chinese way of thinking of things, and it's the way that the world is starting to look at things now. America is really one of the most backwards countries in terms of its health approach, waiting until something is manifest as a disease and then starting to treat it with radical techniques, as opposed to just building the body's ability to take care of it. Unfortunately, the way that our system works is you can't actually talk about that something prevents or helps to benefit our health unless you prove that. And it's very hard to prove that taking something for a lifetime makes you live longer, because
you have to get a disease first to prove it cures it.
Right. The point of the real reality here is that Chinese herbalism, especially the superior tonic herbalism that we're trying to really bring to America at this point, which is based on the idea of promoting health as opposed to curing disease. And we don't need to try to cure disease. If a person is not feeling well and they're having lots of problems, and this certainly happened in my life, I had lots of problems, and then when my teacher came to me, he just started to help me to become healthy. And over a period of time, my health came back and my symptoms all went away, just as yours did. And you go, this isn't because they simply cut out this and cut out that, which would lead to all kinds of other problems. I became healthy again. And we can promote our health by taking these substances that have been shown through thousands of years of real human experience that they do lead to healthy condition.
Absolutely. Well, it's a fine line what we can and cannot talk about, because obviously there's laws in this country that are not in other countries and regarding these kind of products, that what you can and cannot say. But again, they're not cures, so we don't need to even talk about that. Now, we are in your store called the Tea Garden.
Right.
And what we do in this store, what you do in the store, is you actually have bars. They're set up just like in a bar.
Right.
And people come in and you actually take different herbs and you mix them together and you make potions, basically.
Right, that's right.
And you make elixirs here. And the amazing thing is, and I just like to kind of show the bar and then talk a little bit about, people walk in and they know about you and they come in and they say, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I need this, and you got people here who will custom mix.
The way Chinese herbalism works is that there are many traditional herbs. Once again, our entire emphasis is on promoting health and well-being. We're not trying to fix problems, and therefore the mentality of the people that come in here, even though they may at first think, oh, I'm going to come in here because I have problems, really, as they get to know that it's much more beneficial to say, this is what I want to achieve, right, they can come in and ask for something that's on their path to wherever they're trying to achieve. If they've got a big meeting coming up, they say, I've got a big meeting coming up, I need power and strength today, and we can perhaps make a blend of several formulas that gives a certain kind of strength, right, but calmness. That kind of approach, yeah, that's our daily routine.
Now, I was raised in America. And in this country, the belief is that there's no such thing, and I'm getting off the subject dramatically here for you, but there's a belief that there's no such thing as an aphrodisiac.
Right.
Now, in the Orient, do they believe there's aphrodisiacs?
Well, in the Orient, it's considered not a matter of belief, but obvious fact. But there's no question to at least a third of the world's population that many substances can change how we are on every level. You know, there's certainly things that make us tired and wake up, more sexual, more mentally alert, more calm. It's ridiculous to think that substances don't change that.
Thank you.
However, in this country, you can't claim that because it's a taboo. I think probably out of some kind of Puritan original.
I think there's a lot of denial going on. I mean, right, they say that this doesn't help you, that doesn't help you. Yet you could drink a soft drink and you feel more alive and awake. You can drink coffee and feel more alive and awake. And anything that you put in your mouth has an effect on how you operate and how you feel. It's so obvious to people, but we've taken doctors and put them up on a pedestal, made them godlike, and whatever they say is a fact. People don't even look at their own body and how it reacts to things. They take the word of someone else. It's so amazing to me how that works. But to me, it's like there are products, and some people, now we're going to talk about natural herbs. Natural herbs do in fact have an effect on the body, and just like anything else, someone came to me and they said, well, what if I take 100 tons of this product? Will it have a bad effect on me? Just because it's natural doesn't mean you can't take too much of it. Is that right? Or?
Well, you can get too much of anything in the world. I think, you know, balance is an interesting thing. However, if you have capacity, if you're a stronger person, you can get more of life. You can soak up a lot more than a weaker person. So sometimes a weaker person has to take less of anything. They have to take less, even they can't handle it. But these herbs used in Emperor's Qi are classic beyond belief in Asia for their safety, even if taken in large amounts, as a healthy, tonic, food-like substance that can be taken over endless periods of time, literally from birth till deepest old age and through the end, by men or women under virtually all circumstances. This formula is the who's who of the greatest herbs in Asia.
You take herbs every day?
Oh, sure. Of course, every day, never.
I've known you now for quite a while, and I think we've become pretty good friends and everything. And I've always known you as this calm, stable person that's always predictable. And when I came here the other day to do this show with you, and I walked in and I said, I was talking about one things. You said, well, are you taking your herbs? And I said, well, I stopped for a few days, and I actually saw you get irritated at the fact that this gift is such a powerful thing that I, who's a friend of yours, was missing.
Well, that was actually it. Okay, you hit it on the last note. I wasn't irritated that you weren't taking your herbs. It was just, it's sort of important for me in my lifetime. This is my goal. It's my mission in life. I was assigned this by a Chinese master many years ago to explain and help people understand what's going on here. An herb like the reishi mushroom, the Ganoderma that's used in Emperor's Qi, is beneficial every day of your life. I just want the people I love to be taking reishi every day. It's the ultimate herb. If people only understood how subtle and yet great and big, and what a difference it means to them in their lives in terms of protection, and on the immune level, on the spiritual level, on the emotional level, on every level, and also in terms of just the enhancement of wisdom. And really, a person like you who has a mission that is enormous and is going to impact the world. I just feel like this is something that you can't miss a day, because
I haven't missed a day since.
Right.
I won't miss a day after. Now we're talking about this right now, right?
That's right.
This is the mushroom.
Right.
And this is called, I read on the label, it's called the Great Protector.
That's right.
Now,
That's right.
there's certain things that in this country people look and say, oh, it's a mushroom, but in China they would look at this and say that this is a...
That's a ling qi. That's the ultimate substance of consumption. They have tried everything imaginable to eat. The Chinese eat anything and everything. They've eaten everything. And this is the exact pinnacle of consumable items for health, wisdom, longevity. It's virtually in every piece of art in China where they show the gods of longevity, the emperors, it's always there as a symbol of long life and well-being and happiness and good fortune. Emperor's Qi is based on the concept of Qi. Qi being the vitality of life, the energy that pervades all things in the universe, the energy that gives dynamics to virtually every aspect of our lives. And this energy can be enhanced by good living, by deep breathing, by beneficial foods and so forth. But to the Chinese mind, the tonic herbs contain the most qi of anything that we can consume or utilize to build up our energy. So we're attempting here with Emperor's Qi to bring to America, really for the first time in this way, a tonic formulation in an elixir form that can be taken on a daily basis to build qi at virtually every level of a person's being. It is said that there are 3 levels of qi, and the definitions of these 3 levels are fairly important to understand in order to define the qualities of the herbs from our traditional point of view. The first type of qi is actually called essence. And essence is an energy which determines, according to the Chinese, traditionally, our lifespan. This is a genetic energy that predetermines how well we heal, how we regenerate ourselves when there's been damage or aging. It determines the power of our mental energy, of our sexual energy, of our vivaciousness for life. And this is a stored energy. It's much like the battery of a car. It drives the engine, which the engine being another part, but this is the bottom driving force of our being. It's often associated with what we call the kidneys in Chinese herbalism, but really it's associated with the adrenal glands, the reproductive system, and the brain and mind, and also the skeletal structure. And these, this energy, called essence, or also called qing, is depleted by heavy stress, hard living, fast living, all kinds of depleting activities, which we all experience. The fact is, living in a fast, stressful world, we can easily use up this energy and become what we call burned out. And in fact, most people have experienced this or will experience it in their lifetime. One of the primary concepts of Chinese herbalism was, it's okay to become fatigued, but never exhausted. Exhausted being a total draining of this essence. So some of the herbs that we're going to utilize in Emperor's Qi were selected because they build up this particular kind of energy, or qi. And these are fundamental for keeping us protected from burning out, for improving our endurance through stressful times, and protecting us basically from all of the onslaughts that we're going to face in a daily grind of hard work and enjoyable living. The second type of qi is actually itself called qi, and this is a more surface energy, and this is the energy that we use to move, to digest, to breathe. We actually generally get this energy from breathing and from eating, but there are certain herbs that enhance our qi fully. This is the energy that an athlete wants to experience, that we experience daily, virtually on an immediate level. My speaking, my movements, my thinking at the moment is a reflection of the level of qi that a person has. And many of the great herbs in Chinese herbalism, tonic herbalism in particular, are associated with the concept of building qi. And the greater the quality or the quantity of qi in an herb, the greater that herb's reputation in China. So an herb like ginseng, which has many reputations, but really, in fact, is based on the strength of its qi, is what makes it great. The third type of qi, or energy, is our spiritual energy, or the energy of our emotions and our heart and our wisdom. And this is called shen. And any great herb in China was not only designed just to build physical strength or protectiveness, but to also to help develop a person's consciousness and wisdom, sort of give an inner peace and tranquility and strength of mind and spirit, so that the person can grow and develop a big view of the world, of the universe, of their own lives, be capable of learning from experience easily, developing a wisdom out of life that many people may take a lifetime to develop, whereas other people develop it in a quicker way. And these herbs are famous for enhancing or speeding along our psychic and spiritual development. So with these three types of qi, we build a formula that is a full spectrum formula designed to enhance life from every perspective, and is really suitable to anybody under virtually any circumstances. Well, since I've gotten back from China, I haven't actually told you all of the events that took place in the development of Emperor's Qi. And I wanted to just tell you a little bit about that, because it's the evolution of this product itself illustrates its greatness. For one thing, we were able to bring in the greatest minds in China to help in the actual study of each of the herbs and their balance and so forth. We've actually developed this product and produced it at the Shanghai Institute of Pharmaceutical Science, which is the highest scientific institute in China. It's the equivalent of our National Institute of Health.
So
in this
it's
country.
not a bunch of Chinese guys out in the backyard throwing the stuff in a bucket.
Absolutely not. These are literally the finest scientists in China. And as a matter of fact, Professor Li, who runs the institute and who spent many hours with us developing the actual balances in this formula and testing it, is the editor of the Journal of Chinese Pharmaceuticals in China, which is the most elite scientific journal in China on that subject.
So basically, we've had the finest scientific minds who understand the power of herbs in the Orient to help you put together the finest elixir in the world.
Right. I actually went with the concept and the formula, and then they basically helped me find the quality of the herbs and to create the exact balance through chromatographic studies of the actual herbs that are in each of the formulas, and balancing it so that it came out exactly right by traditional standards and the most modern scientific technological standards. And then we, of course, produced it in the large quantities at those standards. This is not was not an inexpensive project by any means, and it's also it was there was a lot going into it. It took us many months of just fine-tuning it so that it would be really suitable to virtually everybody that it would ever take it. And one of the great benefits of what they did was in terms of the selection of the herbs, and then we actually went out to the countryside throughout China, which was a story unto itself. But each of these herbs was handpicked by me, along with the scientists from the Institute, and as we went hunting in the mountains to find, and then bringing them back and then studying them. If they didn't mean it, we rejected them. And sometimes that presented delays, but we ended up sourcing out the best herbs in China.
You can't have the best on the time clock.
My experience with Chinese tonic herbalism goes back about 24 years, and during that time I've made thousands of elixirs for various people, and many of these elixirs cost large amounts of money, into the several hundreds of dollars and more in some cases. And the first samples of elixirs that I brought to Mr. Gouldd and to Wayne Garland were actually in that echelon. And the difficulty that Mr. Gouldd always seems to present was, he said that's what he wanted. He didn't want me to make a less quality one. He wanted that quality to be able to present to the people of the world. And that's the kind of challenge. I've been waiting for somebody my entire life to present that kind of challenge and the opportunity to actually achieve that end. And he gave me the opportunity to do this by virtually supporting our activities to go directly to the sources in China to find the very finest herbs available in China, virtually with nobody in between, so that we could bring to the people of America the very finest, most exquisite herbal substances in the world at a price that would be really possible for people to enjoy this product on a daily basis forever. And these herbs that we've selected are each carefully selected based on my experience over the many years that I've worked. We've made contacts in China with the greatest experts in China to determine where the best herbs come from, and we've gone there personally and made the journeys to the mountains and up the gorges and rivers to find these. And I'd like to, at this moment, go through a few of the herbs individually and give you an idea of the types of substances that go into Emperor's Qi. The first herb I'd like you to look at is one called Ganoderma. This is also called the reishi mushroom, or in Chinese ling qi. Ganoderma is, to many people's mind, considered to be the ultimate herbal substance. In China, Ganoderma is virtually associated with the gods and with immortality, living forever. It was actually called the mushroom of immortality. It's also called the mushroom of good fortune. Also, it was called the propitious herb, which meant that people who had it attracted wealth and good fortune. Many people, millions of people, to this day, believe that even just having the possession of a ling qi mushroom will bring them good luck. The fact is that this is one of the most beneficial herbal or food substances in the world on many, many levels. It's a well-documented substance that it builds health, it strengthens many of our qualities of protection and resistance. It gives energy, and yet it's very calming. It's the premium herb of Chinese herbalism. It's definitely ranks as my favorite herb in Chinese herbalism, if not perhaps tied with a couple of others, but certainly right there as an ultimate substance. And along with that, no great formula in China, really truly great formula, could be made without including some form of ginseng. And in fact, this formula contains a few varieties of ginseng which we adjust with the seasons, and this is one of the subtleties that I am quite certain, by my experience, that no other company ever attempts to do. And ginseng comes in a very, very wide range of qualities and effects. And in fact, there are 8 kinds of ginseng and perhaps 100 different varieties available in China. And just like any herbal substance in the world that's so popular and that's been grown for 2,000 years, the gradings go from very cheap to exquisite. There are ginseng roots available in the world for $200,000 and $300,000 for a 1-ounce root. And however, the roots we're using are of an extraordinary type. They're not commercial ginseng. They're ginseng that, or varieties of ginseng that are usually considered to be too good to put into products. They're usually sold individually, but because we are able to buy them directly from the farmers and with the special arrangements we have with our institutes in Shanghai, we're able to get these into Emperor's Qi. The first one I'm going to show you is one called Shu Chu ginseng. This is from northern China. It's very famous as the primary general qi tonic. I was mentioning earlier the concept that qi is is the overall energy, but this one specifically strengthens the qualities of extracting energy from our environment, from our lungs and our digestive system, building the immune system, and so on. Chu ginseng is very, very famous for strengthening the mind. This is one of the key ideas of Emperor's Qi, which is, of course, to enhance everybody's mental capacity so that we can work strong and for a long time and develop all the qualities that we can. And this is a great ginseng in that regard. These are big ginseng roots and of the highest quality. We're also using another kind of ginseng from a nearby province, which is similar but considered to be what we call more yang. If this was more yin, this is more yang. And the old dynamics of yin and yang being more activating. So this is a more physical type of ginseng to give us more physical energy. And then we have a type of ginseng called spirit ginseng. Spirit ginseng is the Shen developing type of herb, one that's renowned through history to help develop our peacefulness, our coolness, our ability to handle stress in a calm, collected manner. And this is a type of herb that would help a person develop wisdom over time, as all ginseng does, according to tradition. And certainly the whole formula is based around this concept, but this is a major, what we call Shen type of herb for the qi of the body. Supporting these herbs, we have many other herbs which are actually in the same kind of category. Another one of great, great importance is called astragalus. Astragalus builds energy. It's famous for strengthening muscle. It's a very, very famous athlete's herb. The Kung Fu masters all used it. And these days it's been receiving an enormous amount of study throughout the world because of its immune strengthening qualities and the fact that many people feel that it adds a great deal of protection. In China, it's said to build up the protective qi. Speaking of martial arts and that kind of thing, this is an herb called eucommia. Eucommia is the bark of a tree. It's actually comes from the north of China in the forests of Siberia and Manchuria. And this is the only northern rubber tree in the world. If you notice when I break it open, it will contain a rubbery latex that is in the bark itself, and this latex is a very, very high quality rubber that's used in industry in the Soviet Union and in China. But one of the great fames of eucommia for thousands of years as a longevity herb is that it strengthens the back, it makes a person feel upright and strong, it strengthens the joints and ligaments. It's the primary structural strengthening formula of Chinese herbalism. It has some well-known regard in terms of strengthening male powers and so forth. It's also been receiving studies in America and elsewhere because it's been well documented now to help to reduce or stabilize blood pressure and so forth. So this is one of the primary longevity herbs of Chinese herbalism. This falls into the category of the essence tonic types of qi herbs. In other words, it works on the deeper levels, not an immediate action, but the long-range building of a yang strengthening power to the body. This is the kind of herb that really fall into my favorite categories because you take this now, and as time goes by, you just become stronger and stronger and stronger. This is an amazing thing, but there is going to be a gigantic change in this decade. It's occurring right now, where people are conscious that they need to develop a healthy way to manifest their lives in a really healthy way and not wait to be treated after they're sick. Nobody wants to go under the laser beam or under the knife anymore. It's like, get healthy now. And this mentality shift that's occurring is exploding through our society. And the Chinese, what they've done, and really throughout Asia and even spreading out through the world, every place, but here, and now it's starting to catch on, is the idea that you can take these ancient things and without altering them, but just using the highest technology available in the world right now, extract the perfection out of these herbs, and in that way promote well-being without having to wait until you're sick. It is what's coming along. It is the newest technology.
Now, as this explosion of awareness in health takes place, do you have any idea what companies on the cutting edge of this awareness?
Well, right at the moment, this is it.
The industry we're in, the effect we're going to have on the world, the effect we're going to have on people's financial growth and spiritual growth, unprecedented.
This is really it's an unavoidable change in the world. It's impossible to keep up with the disease. You see, there's every day either an old disease is cropping back up. There's new ones being created. It's an impossible situation with the population as big as it is. People have to learn to become healthy and natural and live in harmony with the earth and other people. And this is the way things are going to be. And those who understand it now are going to be at the forefront of that. And we're certainly, we're definitely the very tip of the arrow leading into that in the Western world. But this is an arrow that's moving right along right now and can't be stopped, really.
Now, what is this right here?
Well, this is long
I've
gone.
been eating these.
Yeah, you have been. They're a delicious fruit that's famous for nurturing the blood. Actually, is a hemogenic substance. It builds blood, and it also is very famous for making the skin beautiful. So it was one of the famous herbs just for general radiance and beauty and youthful appearance and so forth. And actually, many of these herbs are like that, and they're for both external appearance and we need to feel healthy on the outside and on the inside.
I like doing this film with you. I can sit here and eat these things.
Yeah, they're easy. They are good together. Of course, when you cooked them together in Emperor's Chi, that's why it came out tasting the way it did.
That's just it. Now that you brought that up, I have a question for you. Why Chi?
Because it is obvious that Equinox people are the hardest working, most dynamic people I've ever seen in terms of just there's an enthusiasm. And an excitement there that takes energy. Whether it's good or bad or whatever, it is energy that's being given up, and that energy needs to be supplemented. You see, it needs to be supported. So I put a very strong amount of this herb called Hosho Wu. There's an herb called Rehmannia. There's Siberian ginseng. Also this herb eucommia that we talked about before. These are all herbs that build up the deep essence of life. These are going to help it so that a person will never burn out if they take this. They may work all kinds of hours, and they may work for all kinds of months, but they're not going to feel that drop out and crash that a person who wasn't supporting themselves when they're working that hard would. Another type of similar herb is one called Atractylodes. Atractylodes, this is the slice of a root, as was astragalus and several others. Atractylodes is perhaps one of the great support herbs of all Chinese herbalism, in that it's one of the truly amazing energy-building herbs at the moment. It's a chi tonic of the utmost quality. People take this and they feel strength immediately. However, Atractylodes is always used with ginseng. So when you use them together, and as is the case throughout history, ginseng usually gets the credit for the energy people feel when they take a ginseng formula. But ginseng may actually not have an immediate energizing activity. Usually the immediate energizing comes from Atractylodes. So this is an herb that makes people feel alert, physically strong. It's a great athlete's herb. It's not stimulating in the way that it would drain the adrenals in any way. As a matter of fact, all of this blend will strengthen over time the adrenals and all of the organs of the system. However, it will liberate energy at the immediate time. Along with that, we're including an herb called Siberian ginseng. Siberian ginseng is related to ginseng. It's actually not exactly the same type of plant, and to call it Siberian ginseng is a bit of just a misnomer, but it is related, and it contains the same kind of chemical substances as ginseng, and these are called saponins and ginsenosides. And Siberian ginseng has been studied and documented throughout the world by thousands of researchers, and at this point it's quite clear that that regular consumption of a good quality Siberian ginseng on a regular basis will enhance endurance, open up respiratory capacity, improve a person's resistance, strengthen mental energy, and so forth. Along with that, we have an herb called Polygonum multiflorum, or usually called Ho Shou Wu. Ho Shou Wu is a large root that's primarily used to build up the adrenals and this deep essence that we talked about when we talked about the three treasures. And this is one of the primary longevity types of tonics according to traditional Chinese herbalism. There are three of these deep, long-lasting types of herbs built into Emperor's Qi for the long run. Another one is called Lycium. These are red berries. The Lycium is a very sweet, tasty fruit that is used in the same way that the Ho Shou Wu is to enhance the building of reserve energy for the long term. So there's a famous story in China that the oldest man that ever lived, according to the Chinese, lived to be 232 years old, and this has actually been supported by research at Oxford University. So, and the story goes that he ate an ounce of lychee berries every day, and these lychee berries actually come from the same valley that Li Qing Yuan, the old man, came from. So these are very tasty. They give a very pleasant, sweet taste to Emperor's Qi that people will recognize once they taste the lychee berries and then they taste Emperor's Qi. Speaking of sweet taste, we have several herbs that are sweet by nature, but that are extremely beneficial and tonic. Another one is jujube date. Jujube date is one of the primary herbs used in the formula to give it immediate energy, but a calmness. This is always used with ginseng as a support herb. We also use longan, which is a fruit that comes from the south of China. This herb is a very tasty fruit that also is believed to build up the blood and to improve the quality of the skin and make people beautiful. Also, we're using Chinese licorice root, which is called the Great Harmonizer. As the Great Harmonizer, it's used traditionally in all great Chinese formulas to help everything work together in a harmonious way. I think that as people consume Emperor's Qi, it just feels good. There's something about Emperor's Qi that virtually everybody who takes it goes, it sits right in the body. They feel balanced, and energized and calm at the same time. It doesn't feel imbalanced in any way, and this is a universal feeling, and certainly the quality of the herbs and the greatness of this elite group of herbs combined with the licorice root, which ties it all together and just keeps everything in balance and steady, is the great key to the actual true greatness of Emperor's Qi. And then the formula contains schizandra, which is one of the most famous herbs in Chinese herbalism. This is a protective herb. This herb has been renowned throughout China to protect the system from poisons, from toxins, from dust and air pollution. It's been receiving enormous amounts of studies in places where the ozone hole has been depleted because of its possible protective qualities in that regard, its possible protective qualities on the liver and on the lungs. It's truly a major tonic of the highest quality. There are people who believe this is the greatest herb on the earth, and these are people of great scientific renown who actually understand this, and I'm among the people who believe that.
It's so amazing to me, but we have put together such a product right here, and I still don't believe anybody watching this can even understand what's in there. But if we went around the world and collected the finest minds and the finest herbs, it's my understanding that we couldn't put together a better product than this.
No, and actually we did collect the finest minds and the finest herbs. I'm convinced that we have an unmatchable product. If we could have made it better, we would have. That's what you said to do.
Oh, absolutely.
We had the resources to do that, and we actually got the highest institute of learning in China to help us to develop it, and they make it for us. I mean, they actually produce it in their laboratories, and it's not possible to make it better.
Okay. I've got two more things I want to cover. One thing is, when I was ill, I got the basic explanation that the human body is like an automobile. The gas tank only can hold so many gallons at a time.
Right.
And as you do things like fly or eat foods like cheeseburgers and drink Cokes and eat pizzas and things like we do in America, emulsified foods and preserved foods and things like that, it all takes energy.
Right.
Whereas if you take organic fruits and vegetables, it gives energy. And so we've got a lot of people running around with a low gas tank. And as the gas tank gets low, the body's only got, more like even a car, more like a battery, the battery's only got so many volts it can put out in a day, so much energy it can put out in a day. And what we're using that for right now is stress and anxiety and work and driving back and forth to work and eating these bad foods, that we're draining our energy down, and that lack of energy actually, I believe, can create a lack of awareness and a lack of intelligence in a human being.
No question about it. As a person builds chi, their mental capacity will develop to its fullest. That's exactly what chi is all about. Is lighting up the body. It's lighting up the mind. But there's one thing about this battery analogy I'd like to deal with for a second. It's a very good one. Is that people do run out of they drain their battery and they don't know how to recharge it. They think that, okay, I'll take a little vacation and recharge, but that doesn't really recharge it. That just doesn't drain it, and it slowly recharges and gradually they don't quite recharge it each time, and eventually they're knocking years off their life. The key thing with the tonic herbs, the ones that replenish that like this, is that they actually they will recharge the battery. It's virtually like plugging yourself into the wall and recharging that system every day. And the other thing about it is actually it's almost like saying, wait a minute, we found a way to put a double-sized battery into the body. The storage capacity can be increased.
Now, there's one ingredient which we don't have here, and that's the gynostemma.
Right.
Which is the first ingredient beyond the filtered water.
Right, and the irony of that one is that we went to China, and at the advice of one of the major scientists in China, we learned that gynostemma is an herb that has recently been found to have a substance called ginsenosides. It's got 50 different ginsenosides, which means that it has actually 5 times as many ginsenosides as even the best ginseng. And ginsenosides help us to adapt to virtually every kind of stress. And it's become the most widely used herb in Japan right now. It's won awards throughout the world as the greatest new herb in the world. It was actually discovered because it grows in a province of China where there are more people that live to be over 100 years old than any other region in the world. And it turned out that about 10 years ago they discovered they were all drinking this tea, and they associated it, and suddenly they studied it, and it came out as this important substance, very, very important. So we went in there, and thanks to you and some luck, we were able to virtually buy the entire stock for overseas sales of gynostemma. We've got a total exclusive on that substance for the whole Western world. The strength of Emperor's Qi is in its harmony of all of these ingredients that actually work together to build up that protective and supportive. There's a protective element here. These herbs are so protective from environmental pollutants. They help us to eliminate them. They give us the strength to deal with our daily lives. This is definitely the ultimate herbal dimension right here.
Well, I certainly thank you for taking the time out to put this video together with us, because it's such a phenomenal product. I mean, it is so far beyond even my understanding. Back when I got sick, I had no idea about this stuff, but now that I've been a personal testimony of what it can do for you, this product, folks, if there's one product you take, make it Qi.